We are now to the superintendent's report, so I will ask Dr. Ross to take that over.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the school board and our community. We are certainly proud of our students and our National Merit, National Achiever Scholars, all of our teachers, the parents. We know that education begins at home, and this is a great partnership between school and home to have those results. When we think about our work, I am inspired by a comment from Michelangelo when he says, in carving the David is arguably the most famous sculpture of all time. He says, I saw an angel in the marble and I carved until I set him free. And if you think about this, the story in 1466, David was carved out of rejected stone that had been given to professional carvers but was rejected. Yet Michelangelo saw an angel in that rejected stone, carved until he could set it free. I think that is the work that we do as educators. We are constantly carving away at sometimes students who may have been a part of rejected stone. And so it is the alignment of three questions that we ask. Why do we do this work? How do we do this work? And what are we creating? It is in meetings like this, our feedback loop, that ensures that we're aligned. And so our vision is that we love and grow our students. Our mission, and I'm sorry, there's a little delay on my clicker here, but our mission is that we are focused on academic, social, and emotional growth and development, and we articulate that through an umbrella, this continuum that ensures that we protect all of our students with an umbrella of protection so that they can cross the bridge to success. At the end of our flow chart is the system outcomes. We have two main objectives, loving and growing, going back to our vision, that every student in this district feels loved, and we measure that through our school climate goals and our strategic plan, and our teacher administrative quality goals and our strategic plan. In terms of growing our students, that is the demonstrated academic growth as we recognize tonight with our two strategic plan goals of student achievement and gifted and talented strategies. And so part of this is not going to be successful without the feedback loop. And we increase the feedback loop through many advisories. One such advisory is our parent advisory cabinet, in which we meet with our parents representing all of our schools. What we're going to be returning to face-to-face with those, and we want the Board of Trustees to come back and to be in a part of those meetings so that we don't have a quorum. We only ask 3 board members to come in and rotate throughout, but this gives us an opportunity to connect that feedback loop to make sure that our vision, our mission, and our outcomes are aligned. And so this is, again, an opportunity to stay on task, to ensure that we are loving and growing our students. And if I can get this clicker to advance, there we go. You will see wrapped up into this systematic view that is our vision, we saw an angel, our mission, we carved until, and our outcomes, we set our students free. It goes back to that pledge we make every day with liberty and justice for all. So with that, taking care of this system is making sure that our resources are aligned to ensure that we can execute this flow chart. I would like to ask our CFO, Madison Paul, to come forward as we work on our monthly financial update for July. Okay, thank you. Much better.
The monthly financial report. Is it not on? I'm sorry.
It's on.
Oh, okay. So tonight, I'm going to be giving the report for the month of July. So this is the first month in our fiscal year. So if we start with the first page of your packet, we're looking at the revenue sources. So just a quick breakdown here. The first little section is our local sources. So as y'all already know, our local property taxes are mostly collected in the months of December through February. So if you, again, look at kind of our year-to-date and then also this time last year, we're pretty much right on target as far as local sources go. If we move on to the state sources, those are actually a little bit more cyclical, so we get almost about the same allocation each month. So we can, you can tell there that we did receive a little bit more than this time last year. If y'all will recall, there is a new funding formula out there at the state level, so we're all still learning a little bit more about that, but at the 45-day count, we'll definitely know more and provide y'all an update then. Next, I wanted to talk a little bit about our expense report. So again, this is for the month of July, so we are not in school at that time. So our instructional budget will certainly continue to increase as we move into August. That's the first time that our teachers will be paid. So looking at the month of July, again, pretty much right on target to where we were this time last year. If you look into our contractual services and other in that section right there, you'll notice that we're a little bit below where we were this time last year. I did take a moment to look into that. Most of that was due to paying some invoices at the very end of July versus paying them at the beginning of August. Most of those are due mid-August, so we just paid a little bit earlier last year. So when I come back and with the August report, it'll pretty much be a wash. But I'll be glad to take any questions.
Thank you so much for our expenses. We really appreciate our work here and making sure that we're in balance on our account. Ensuring that we continue with the superintendent's plan. If you reminded back to June of last year, we talked about an entry plan. Phase 2 of that entry plan result at data literacy, upgrading grading policies, and ensuring that all students are college and career ready. We are making headway on all of these items, but tonight I'd like to focus a little bit deeper into the college and career ready. As you remember, we have identified, just as the Midlands Business Alliance did, that 51% of South Carolina's jobs require middle-skilled workers, yet only 29% of the workforce is qualified for middle skills. As a result, this board has supported our school district looking at a way to address those middle skilled positions through dual credit with Midlands Technical College. I want to thank those who were able to attend our first meeting at the Harbison campus at Midlands Tech. We also went over to Airport to look at ways that School District 5 can partner with Midlands Tech, specifically on the Harbison campus, to get career-ready students in manufacturing and construction. We also talked about, during that meeting, incorporating other items that were on the Harbison campus, such as health science. So we're excited about that, but there are some challenges that I want to make the community and the board aware of. Students who are seeking dual credit through Midlands Tech, if they meet the academic requirement, there is lottery tuition assistance that allows these students to pay for the courses, and they can get everything from career certification all the way up to an Associate's of Arts degree through lottery tuition assistance. Students who have the academic requirements can also attend places like the Center, which is district funded, and they can also receive career certification. What I would like to focus in on tonight are the students who do not meet those academic requirements. There are some gaps there. Getting those students into some of these what's called hot jobs by the state, jobs that we receive training under the corporate continuing education course of study, there's currently no funding there for those students. State law says that the lottery tuition assistance can only be used for degree-seeking students. These are outside, but I think these are students, as we agree, and Ms. Miller and Mr. Prigge and I have talked about it, these are students who would do very well in some of the trade positions, but finding the opportunities to address that. And you say, well, Dr. Ross, we have the center, and you're right, and we have a lot of students here. We've identified 555 students in the current 9GR senior class that are not career ready. And we want to make sure that we have multiple options for all of those students. So it brings us to our last challenge, which is the work-based learning and first jobs. There's no academic requirement. It is district funded. While it doesn't lead to certification, it can, with your approval, it can lead to career-ready designation. And so we're excited about that. Your work in supporting the First Job Initiative from last year has given us a lot of groundwork on this. And so our next task is our next step is to, as we look at these 558, when we say 9GR, typically we would say seniors, but not all of the students are in their senior year. They're in various years and classes, but they're supposed to graduate within 4 years. These students are not college and career ready. They're not career ready by state definition. We can turn the First Jobs program into a work-based learning class by having a local board approved course number 5499, and these students will receive through First Jobs the district work-based learning designation or credit. So this is an opportunity, again, as we build the partnership with Midlands Tech from the 10th grade through the 12th grade, we can still address these students in this cohort through the First Jobs work-based learning credit. So this is something that's up for discussion tonight. Again, we would bring back for subsequent approval, but I wanted to give the board and the community an update of the challenges that we see as we try to fill the workforce pipeline and how that looks in School District 5, that one class of seniors, over 558 of them need some form of pathway to these careers. So before we move on to Care Solace, I wanted to see if there were any questions about.
Sorry, Ms. Moore.
Thank you. So Dr. Ross, you and I spoke about this the other evening, and I just wanted to help people to understand that we're in no way trying to tell a child who may not be succeeding or quote unquote on the right path in high school that we don't think that college isn't the place for them. However, what we're trying to do is provide those kids who may be in a gang or be on the wrong routes behaviorally, that with a job and with the help from Lex Rich 5, like there can be an outcome after high school, that it doesn't have to be a low-income type of job, that they can be successful and there are opportunities out there, correct?
Amen. I think what we're saying to our students is we see a path for you. And some of our students, we have some that are going to do well in 4-year. We're honored amazing students that are going to do great in 4-year. And we want to say to our students, whether you go to 4-year, 2-year, military, or if you're going straight into the workforce, when you leave our district, there's a path for you, there's skills for you, and we can leverage all of the positions that you approve, such as our job coaches, our CDFs, to help students with those soft skills and to get credits there. So I agree, when we talk about the influences off of school, and to be able to have something on the school grounds, I think is amazing.
Mr. Lovelace.
Yeah, Dr. Ross, the internships that we've been talking about, I mean, obviously 558 internships for seniors is a big lift, is a tall lift. I know that, we're looking at seniors only in that regard, and I know that we have sophomores through juniors that we're going to work on soft skills and the ability to hold a job, basically. So how many, in your estimation, how many, or how many of those internships are we really going to have to, lift? How many soft skill trained people would we see by the time we're have seniors? That's 3 years of training.
That's a great question. If we look at our current data, and Ms. Miller, you can correct me if I'm wrong, in terms of typically going into the 2-year route, we combine that with the 4-year route. So we see 77% of our classes each year within that pot. But what I would say to you in reducing the 558 is this number is going to get larger every year if there's not something at the 10th grade. So when we see internships, we see 6 here, 3 here, 4 there. But by having a pipeline, we can predict to our industries how many interns we would need versus I think where we're at now, where there's not a systematic way of predicting how many future of this one job will we have versus another. What we are looking at is in the 10th grade, everyone is kind of a pre-technician. And then as they move along to the 12th grade, some may say, I'm in HVAC. Some may say, I'm in the construction field. Some may say, I'm in aviation. But they go into this pre-tech position and branch out to the different ones into those internships. And we would have now a more systematic way of predicting how many interns we need at the senior level.
So if we start working with the Harbison campus at Midlands Tech, that's what we've been talking about.
That's correct.
And we've been trying to get, for the Irmo and the Dutch Fork clusters, we've been trying to get something close to home where we can have a rallying point around companies, mid-sized, small companies that need employees. And hopefully we'll get the companies that want to help those students go to Midlands Tech, and this will be a big boost because they'll actually see that they're on a college campus.
That's correct.
So I just wanted to make sure that that was the goal of what we're trying to do here.
And full disclosure, we can serve the Chapin and Spring Hill students on that path at the center, but to make sure that we can get the scale, we'll have Dutch Fork and Irmo served at the Harbison campus.
Any other questions? Okay, none. Dr. Ross, you
All
can
right,
go.
at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Harris, and we're going to talk about Care Solace. As you remember, we approved Care Solace to help us with our mental health, mental illness, and we want to thank Dr. Harris for bringing this opportunity to us. So at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Ross, members of the board, executive staff, general community. We are certainly very excited to talk once again about Care Solace. This board has supported the initiative that we brought forward and we have talked about for some time now. What we'd like to do tonight is to give further explanation, further detail as to what Care Solace is, how it's going to operate, so that you might be duly informed, that our community might be duly informed. And we have Ms. Beth Hook, who's our lead clinical counselor, who's going to lead this initially, and followed by a partner that we have online, Ms. Ashley Klain, who is from Care Solace, will give us further information and insight regarding the program itself and be able to available to answer any questions you might have. We'll turn the floor to Beth Hook.
All right, good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm excited to share with you an update of our newly launched Care Solace partnership. So first we kind of need to, there we go, a little delay. So first we need to kind of understand why do we need Care Solace, and then we'll go into what is Care Solace in a moment. But, we have a heightened awareness of mental health needs now, whether that's because of a rise in mental health needs or a better understanding. And so it's critical that we acknowledge that mental health has its impact on physical health and therefore our education as well. And so we want to put supports within reach for all of our families. So what is Care Solace? It's a resource with a care companion who can help families link to services for mental health and substance use treatment needs. It's a specified database for our district. It's also a way to be more effective and efficient in connecting families with the resources that they need. It's in addition to our existing resources. We have multi-layer of resources here in our district, But this service is also available when schools are closed. So looking at these numbers, how are we meeting these needs, or are we? So we do a lot of things. We make sure that we're meeting staff ratios. We've added clinical counselors to our mental wellness teams. We have district-wide safety and mental health protocols for crisis situations, but we still have unmet needs. And this is where Care Solace comes in. So Care Solace is here to ensure access to licensed providers. The Care Solace program verifies specializations, locations, contact information, payment information, and makes that walk through the process to get connected to mental health and substance use resources simplified. They also vet all of the providers through their multi-layer system. And so in addition to that, navigating mental health care system, that can be chaotic. It can be a challenge at times. And so we want to reduce these barriers. We want to make sure that understanding insurance, understanding different languages, providing services in multilingual is also important. Having specialization, having the right fit, also reducing wait times if at all possible. And so the Care Solace team helps to minimize and eliminate these concerns. So here in our district, when should we use Care Solace? Well, sometimes there's a need for specialized services that we just can't provide in-house. Sometimes parents prefer to have an outside provider. Sometimes help is needed navigating the process. And then sometimes our services are at capacity. And we also want to make sure that in addition that we're serving our LR5 staff and their families. So Care Solace is available not only for our students and their families, but it's also available for staff and their families. So we're going to use our in-house resources, and then second, we're going to use Care Solace. We can do that in any order as well. It doesn't have to be first or second. But it's nice to have both these resources. So basically, there are two access points for Care Solace: Care Loop and Care Match. So in the past 3 weeks, we have trained all of our school counselors, school psychologists, school social work, our D5 clinical team, and our administrators on Care Loop. This is a way that we can do a warm handoff to our care companions that help walk families through this process. And the care companion responds immediately with a text or an email as soon as they get that referral. Then we also have Care Match. And so Care Match is what we're going to talk a little more tonight about. And that is a 24/7, 365 service. That is a service that you can search anonymously. I recommend that you go on and do that. And we'll have the link in a little bit. And so it's an option on the Care Match is for you to either have a care companion to help you navigate, or you can do that individually if you'd like. And at any point in that process, you can connect with a care companion. So here's our link that is specific for District 5 and our QR code as well. And so feel free to scan that, and it's going to be added to our web page as well. And then as we want you to have a clear understanding of Care Match, we're joined tonight by Allison Klain, who is our Care Solace liaison, and she will explain more about Care Solace and in particular Care Match.
Thank you, Beth, and hi, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to join tonight. My name is Ashley Klain. I'm part of our customer success team here at Care Solace. We are really excited and grateful for this partnership, and I'm excited to be showing you Care Match tonight. Care Match is available to all stakeholders there in the district. I'm going to share my screen so you can see what that looks like. Also, as Beth mentioned, this is a live QR code on her presentation, so feel free to scan that right on your cell phone if you'd like to pull it up on your phone as well. And let's see, let's share my screen. So hopefully you can see my screen here. It's kind of a blue and beige background and says Care Solace in the top left corner. Just give me a shout if you can't see that for any reason. But this is our Care Match platform. Every school or district we work with has their own unique link. For you all, it's caresolace.com/LexRich5. And this is a link that's available to every stakeholder in your community, all students, staff, and families. Care Match can be visited from the comfort of their own home. Your families do not need a login, and it's at no additional cost for them to use this platform. This website can be translated into any of these languages here in the top right. We don't want language to be a barrier. Our whole goal is to help break down barriers. We do also have the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number here for anyone who is an immediate threat to themselves. Now, there are two ways that your families can utilize the Care Match website. The first is by clicking this book appointment tab at the top of the screen. It pulls up our 24/7 team's contact information. The care companions can be reached via email, phone number, or video chat link at any time. Anytime a family from your community contacts us directly, we will open a case for them. We'll help them from start to finish in finding providers matched to their needs that accept their insurance or offer sliding scale options, helping them schedule their first appointment, and following up to ensure satisfaction. We will always ask these families who reach out directly if they would like a staff member looped into their case. But if they say no, their case does stay confidential. The district will not have access to their names or case information, only how many families we're supporting in this way. So it's a really wonderful tool and option for any of your families who are hoping to keep this search for care a bit more private. The other option through Care Match is to use our questionnaire here. The screen will ask, what are you struggling with? We have drop downs here for substance use and mental health, and they could choose more than one thing. And I'm going to walk you through just so you see what this questionnaire looks like. So let's say we're struggling with depression and anxiety. I'll go to step 2. It will ask what type of treatment I'm looking for. If I'm not sure exactly what these mean, I can hover over the question marks to get a brief explanation, and then I'll select what type of treatment I need. From there, it asks for gender identity. This is for data purposes for the district. Age. Ethnicity. There are options, other, decline to answer. And then they can select their insurance here. We work with families regardless of insurance type, whether they have private, public, or no insurance. For any family with no insurance, we can always work to find them sliding scale options. They could select self-pay. So whatever they have here, they can select from the drop-down. We should have just about every insurance known to man in here, so hopefully they can find the one that matches what they have. Let's say they have United Healthcare. Next up, they'll enter their zip code here. Distance they're willing to travel for in-person services between 5 and 50 miles. We do have virtual options available in the database as well, so it just depends on what that family is looking for. And then the last question here asks if this is for student or staff or their families. Again, just for data purposes. Once we click Get Matched, it's going to pull up a list of providers from our database that are matched to the needs that they specified here. It'll confirm this information at the top. They will get this pop-up reminder. It lets them know that our Care Companion team is available to help them set up their appointment and lets them know how they can contact us. It gives them a reference code for the search that they already completed. But say, for example, this is a family who doesn't mind making those phone calls on their own. They just wanted to find a provider to call. They can dismiss this box, check out the solutions we found here, and give these providers a call to see if they have an appointment. Anytime someone searches in this way, it shows up as an anonymous search on your utilization data. So again, a really wonderful option for anyone who's wanting to keep this more private, anyone who's comfortable making those phone calls and doing that legwork on their own. They just need to know who to call. And with that, I'm going to stop my screen share and I will turn it back to Beth.
Thank you, Ashley, for being with us tonight and sharing that very, very brief highlight to Care Solace, and thank Beth Hook as well. We, again, wanted to make certain that we give just greater clarity and depth to the Care Solace program in which we've invested in. And certainly if there are any questions, we certainly stand ready to respond to those.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. This is a great program. I'm excited for our students. I'm sure maybe we have some questions. Ms. Moore, I'll go this way.
I do. I have a couple. First and foremost, I know my full-time job, we're a referrer for Care Solace, so I know how this works, and I know other school districts that currently or have used this in the past. Have we contacted other districts and asked them, hey, how are you using this? What are any issues that you have? How many counselors do you need? Do you find that you need more counselors? Like, did we do that?
We did. We actually contacted the districts that are here in our state, and I had an interview with both of them. District 1 and Horry County
Awesome.
are involved and have had great success, and not a result of needing to add more counselors, but able to ensure that families and students get the services that they need.
Great. If a family uses this, and because I know that we talked about how it's anonymous, if a family uses this, does the counselor get a notification that a student is currently receiving help? Or do we, in a back end, do we get that information?
Right. So only if there is a warm handoff, which is through Care Loop, would we get just notification of who they were matched with, and that is by consent. So the parent has to agree for that warm handoff. Now, if they don't want to do that, then they certainly can do Care Match, and they can get a care companion in the same way. And the only information that we would receive is just a simple number that, yes, they inquired.
Thank you.
Good. Ms. Huddle.
So when, has this already started in the schools?
We just launched it 2 weeks ago.
Okay, and
Just in the process.
how is it being communicated to the students and staff?
We have just launched by way of training. You may have recalled Ms. Hook indicated we've just trained all of our professional staff here in the district. We've made this very same presentation to our principals and directors, and we'll continue to communicate this through our communication methods, our communication office, so that parents might be made aware. But we didn't want to go too far into this without bringing this forward to you, since you made such an investment with it.
And Mr. Lovelace.
Dr. Harris, I added up these numbers together. It looks like there's 101 school counselors, school psychologists, school social workers, and clinical counselors. And before we had Care Solace, this was last year, we had 337 suicide evaluations, okay? And the school board knew that it was taking longer than necessary after we made an evaluation to get private help, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and so walk us through exactly what is different. I know that Care Solace is there. I know they're basically a contact organization that help us get to other resources. But what happens after we make an evaluation, after our 101 people here make an evaluation? What's different from this than what it was? I'm talking about prior to last year.
Right. So I don't know that there's a lot different except for the clear access to lots of the providers that are located in our community. We're still going to do the suicide evaluation, the risk assessments. We're still going to follow up with students as long as they need follow-up. But this allows them to have connection to direct services should the services that we have within the schools not be appropriate or the best fit for them.
Anybody else with questions? Ms. Moore.
Can I just to follow up on your question, currently right now, if you have a child who is in need of a therapist or any type of substance misuse, that counselor has to go to the parent, and then it's on the parent to be able to find them, and our mental health professionals are so booked that it's taking months before we can get a kid in to be seen. And so this route allows them to get seen a lot faster than if they were to do it on their own with mom and dad just trying to track down a professional.
And I do appreciate, Ms. Moore, you're bringing that point to light. That is exactly right. I think it's a significant amount of reduced time frame. And Ashley, I don't know if you want to kind of speak to that very, very quickly about your time frame and what you, Care Solace, does in terms of the time frames.
Absolutely. And so just to set the right expectations, we don't have any, unfortunately, magic wands to cut the line, cut a wait time, anything like that. Our real goal is to be relentless on behalf of your families and contact as many providers as we need to make sure that they get that appointment. And so I just wanted to make that clear that we face the same obstacles. However, we have the manpower to continue to call multiple providers on a family's behalf. It's not uncommon for us to call 10, 15, 20 providers to find someone who does have availability and can support that family. But just to give you kind of an idea of our average right now in your state. So our average day to find a match right now is 4 days. Our average day to schedule in the first appointment to do the scheduling is 7 days. And then average time until the first appointment takes place is 13 days, which is pretty good right now, especially with the high demand in the mental health providers.
Thank you. I had one question. I know that you also search out the insurance, like if they can tell you what their insurance is, but what did you say if we do know this family does not have insurance? Are there avenues that you can put them on for lack of insurance?
Yeah, so if the family reports that they have no insurance, we can work to find them a sliding scale out-of-pocket option. We'll ask them what their range is that they could afford for that co-payment. If that's $0, we're looking for a free option for them. And if they give us a range, we'll look for a provider who fits within that range for them.
Thank you. Any other questions? Ms. Blackburn-Hines.
I have a question that may not be exactly related to this, but I know that in the slides it talked about needing services that are not offered in the school-based setting. Can you kind of talk about students that may be getting assistance through Lexington County Mental Health at, say, like Irmo Elementary or Irmo Middle School, and then they go to a school of choice like Spring Hill, and the services aren't offered at that, or they're not able to be offered those services at that school, so they're missing class time. I've heard some parents talk about that, so could you kind of talk about like whether or not they would need to find another provider that would help them not miss class time, or how, if this could help or not help? Does that make sense?
I'm very glad, Ms. Blackburn-Hines, you asked that question. Because we stole, if I can use that term, Beth Hook from Lexington County Mental Health anyway. So she came and she was a provider, she was a partner with us prior to joining District 5. So that was her role with us as we partnered, was in partnership with Lexington County Mental Health. So thank you for asking that question, because that's precisely what she did prior to joining District 5 staff.
Can you answer the question?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So one of those challenges does lie within school-based mental health services. And so if it's not available in that student's school, then we could use Care Solace to help find a resource that is close to them that works within, their schedule and what their needs are.
Is that good? I think from when I read all of this a few meetings ago, it does seem that it's a resource finder. And when people are at such a loss in where to go and where to start, and it's such a tangled web. And mental health, it needs to be more open, but there are also parents that may ask, who's the best orthopedic, who's the best, gynecologist. Doesn't mean like a specialty, but when they're talking about mental health, whether they're adults or children, sometimes they don't want to ask. And so I think that this is invaluable, that it's a resource finder, and they do the work for the parent that feels lost. Ms. Gardner.
So I guess I just have a question about how the website or the code works to get to the website. It seems just from my perspective, that you already need a diagnosis to even navigate the website. So would there be, like, maybe I'm having issues with my child, but I don't know if they have anxiety. I don't know if they have a disorder. That's something that we would get help with from the school counselors, or would there be a place on Care Solace for that kind of help also?
So my understanding is that you can identify what concerns you feel like you're having or the child's having, and you can do a search based on that. It doesn't have to be a diagnosis. There's also, I don't really know. There's that option as well. And so kind of scrolling down and looking at what the behaviors are. Of course, our mental wellness teams can assist with that, should anyone want guidance on that as well.
Is that good? Any other questions? We appreciate the presentation. We appreciate you being with us. And thank you, Dr. Harris, for all this work. We really appreciate it, and I know the public does. So, Dr. Ross, that's the end of your superintendent's report. Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, I just want to thank you, Ms. Hook, thank you, Dr. Harris, Ms. Klein, for being here. Just in your support of the Care Solace platform, when you look at our staff and you look at just in suicide evaluations, 337 last year, and we send that to 9 people to just trying to really figure out to be able, and that if you look at 15 actions for each one of those students, that's over 5,000 actions. You can't lose one. And so to have these supports for us, it's really life-changing. So we thank you for that. We encourage parents, and to your point, we'll continue to message this out. We have some parent night outs. One is Shattering the Myth. It'll be out in October, about substance use disorder, about families. A lot of families are struggling through things. A lot of children are struggling. So please look at these items, and there's help. There's a reaching hand out there to help you. We have a lot of heroes in our district, and I wanted to, if you ever get tired of the daily gloom and doom that you see about schools and school operate, check out our D5 story. You'll see and be encouraged by all of the wonderful heroes and the amazing people that we have to raise their hand and say, I will work with children in the Irmo, Chapin area, and I will help them feel loved and be able to grow. So I wanted to conclude with just, again, a shout out to the amazing work that we do, all of our employees, to make sure that our D5 story is told each and every day. So with that, Madam Chair, members of the board, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Well, we appreciate that, and I'm really proud of this board to put more money into mental health that we started a few years ago, and I know we're not there where we want to be, but we've got the start made. And also, I was very excited about the partnership with Midlands Tech and jobs for every kid, no matter where they are on the spectrum.